one of the extremists' last strongholds. ISIS fighters are being killed and rounded up as prisoners. But even as they lose on the battlefield, they're still waging an online propaganda war, painting themselves as a band of holy warriors. This ISIS defector, who we met in Turkey, shows just how powerful that propaganda can be. He told us he served in the military in Jordan and then joined ISIS in late 2014, believing they'd created a just Islamic state, but said he quickly realized he'd made a mistake. They kill anyone who argues with them, he told us. He was surprised to discover their brutality, yet joined the extremists even after he'd watched some of their vicious execution videos, including the beheadings of 2 American journalists.
Why would you still join when you had seen them committing atrocities like that?
They said they were CIA agents, not journalists, he told us, and they slipped a verse from the Quran into the video to justify the killings. No Muslim could object or say this is wrong. He told us he paid a smuggler to get him out of ISIS territory last year. He's far from alone in succumbing to the extremists' propaganda. There are many people who came to ISIS like me, he said, tens of thousands. If they'd known the truth, they wouldn't have joined.
The bloody debris from the blasts litter the streets of Damascus. Buses riddled with shrapnel, a mangled wheelchair among the wreckage. The attackers striking Shiite tourists from Iraq visiting a holy site. At least 40 are dead, more than 100 injured. This Iraqi lucky to be alive. We finished the visit and then the explosions happened, he says. People near me were all killed. No one has yet to claim responsibility. But ISIS has attacked Shiite shrines in the Syrian capital before. More than 60 people died in a bombing last year.
Intelligence analysis now confirms North Korea's ballistic missile launch last week was a practice drill to test hitting a U.S. Marine base in Japan. The North fired 4 extended-range Scud rockets into the Sea of Japan. 2 missile experts say the hypothetical target was U.S. Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni. South Korea's acting president says as North Korea is continuing its nuclear test and ballistic missile provocations, the current security situation of the Korean peninsula is very urgent and serious. South Korea is going through an historic political upheaval with the impeachment and removal of President Park. The next president to be elected in May will likely take a much softer approach to North Korea. The frontrunner Moon Jae-in has called for economic reunification with the North and eventual political and military unification. He's also called for recognition of Kim Jong-un as North Korean leader. Alarmed by North Korea's weapons test, South Korea and the U.S. have agreed to deploy THAAD, the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Missile System in South Korea. That angers China, which sees it as a threat to its security. Some analysts believe North Korea already possesses up to 20 nuclear bombs, with the nuclear material to build many more, some small enough to fit on a missile, creating a clear and present danger to North Korea's neighbors. Some experts believe the North will likely have the nuclear missile capability to reach the United States.
In search of relief, the hungry walk for miles. But without enough food to go around, vast stretches of Africa and the Middle East are now on the brink of famine.
We stand at a critical point in our history. Already at the beginning of the year, we are facing the largest humanitarian crisis since the creation of the United Nations.
On Friday, United Nations humanitarian chief Stephen O'Brien warned world leaders that without a relief effort, millions could die, further destabilizing the region. The crisis is centered on 4 countries and more than 20 million people, including nearly 2 million in Nigeria, 3 million in Somalia, 5 million in Sudan, and 14 million in Yemen. In all, about 1.4 million children face an imminent risk of death, according to UNICEF spokeswoman Marixie Mercado.
Children are dying because of man-made, conflict-affected disasters. In 2017, that's shameful.
While the causes vary by country, war and poverty haunt all 4 nations and have for years. The fatal difference now could be money. The United Nations says it has just 2% of the 5.6 billion it needs to avert disaster. This Somali man said, "We pray to God to alleviate the suffering. Equally, we are asking the humanitarian agencies to help us."
I want to talk to my people.
In the course of 24 hours, the Netherlands denied entry to 2 Turkish ministers. Turkish officials refer to the Dutch government as remnants of Nazis. Protests broke out in Rotterdam, Istanbul, and Ankara. Turkey threatened to impose sanctions. Many are asking why the diplomatic feud is happening now.
The timing of this crisis has raised some questions, as both countries are heading to voting booths soon, with parliamentary elections for the Netherlands on March 15th and a referendum on whether to shift to a presidential system in Turkey set for April 16th.
In an interview on a local television, Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim has claimed the actions of the Dutch government were politically motivated, saying, quote, "It seems the Netherlands has internal issues. General elections will be held on March 15. We think what we have been through today because of this election is based on internal politics." Some experts believe campaign strategies on both sides may have had a part in the dispute. Yet some say the consequences may be unexpected, as Turks eligible to vote in the Netherlands could have an impact on election results.
European governments may have aimed to gain some votes by cancelling Turkish government rallies. However, if Turks living in a European country vote for the opposing party due to these actions, their effort will backfire, and the victor of this diplomatic crisis will be Turkey.
The Turkish government on Sunday promises to retaliate in the harshest way possible, and some believe may use this crisis as an opportunity.
I assume this tension will linger in Turkey for another month until the referendum, because the ruling party wants a yes vote, and it wants to intensely express its victimization.